Hello there, Commonweal from here, and the Nintendo Switch 2 has just gotten some big news that will matter for the upcoming weeks, months and years, as the Nintendo Switch 2 is breaking new sales records again in under 1 year on the market, having officially sold 19.86 million units worldwide by the end of March 31st. That is to say, by the end of the fiscal year that Nintendo was in, and it is up nearly 2.5 million from the end of 2025. Seeing that this was less than a month after Procopia released, we can now with certainty conclude that the Nintendo Switch 2 has officially sold 20 plus million systems by this point, so the fiscal briefing on May 8th. And the reason we can conclude this is that these numbers do not include Procopia in April and May, and interestingly enough, this big hit is getting a new bundle on June 5th, for now just in Australia and New Zealand, but it's likely that during the summer it might come also to other markets. More on bundles and systems soon, as the real reason is that Procopia is the real driver, at least from March, with its sales numbers getting very close to the total sales of Donkey Kong Bonanza, 4+ million confirmed. Which is remarkable, seeing that this game has really been growing steadily since March 31st, when the game had reached 2.4 million copies, but it's now over 4 million as confirmed by Nintendo. Around the same number is also the case for Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green. So Pokemon, even without a new game in 2026, is going really strong, no matter what. And when it comes to the 20 million sold Nintendo Switch 2s, these also do not include the numbers that have been driven up by Tomodachi Life in the last few weeks. And we know that game has started incredibly well, especially in Japan, when Nintendo has really taken advantage of the lower price of the Nintendo Switch 2. That is for the Japanese language version. But the question is, how long will this last? Because Nintendo is not forecasting to reach 40 million systems by the end of this fiscal year, so March 2027. Instead, they are forecasting to sell 16.5 million Nintendo Switches by the end of March 2027. This is 3 million less than what we saw in the last fiscal year. But we have to keep in mind, there's no new Mario Kart coming, you don't have the benefit of the launch of a brand new system, so the early adopters anymore. And with that in mind, this is still very, very impressive, especially since Pokemon Winds and Waves is not coming out until 2027, and we don't even know when in 2027 it will be, much is pointing to later that year. It goes without saying, Nintendo is on an absolute high and definitely not stopping, as we have seen with the reveal of Star Fox Remake. But sadly, this could change, as unfortunately Nintendo has also announced a Switch 2 price hike in all Western regions, starting from September 1st. So if you haven't bought a Switch 2 yet, now is the time. There's no point delaying it, because you will be paying for it more from late summer. And with this in mind, it is clear that the first Switch 2 Zelda, whether that is for a 40th anniversary, will likely be the feared $499 USD before tax. That is without any games, so well over $500 with tax. And the price hike is also including Japan, and for them it's even more dramatic, as the change will come in effect on May 25th. That is right after Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. When it comes to the US at least, some of it is to blame on tariffs. It is disappointing to say the least, so if you have been on the fence, don't be anymore. Even if you have been waiting for a Zelda bundle, you have to consider that it's gonna be more expensive than the Switch 2 currently is. But let's not stick to negative news for long, as this is mostly a video about celebrating the Nintendo Switch 2, as Star Fox Remake has been revealed, and it is one of those games with variable pricing, so 50 USD digital and 60 USD physical on June 25th, of course before tax. And that is exactly the same as the brand new Splatoon Raiders. Some may say Star Fox Remake is a shorter game than Splatoon Raiders, but $50 is still, as we can say, the lowest bracket when it comes to these games. But what does this really mean for the more and more likely Zelda Ocarina of Time remake if we're looking from a price perspective? Could it also be 50 USD digital and 60 USD physical? I hate to say it, but I really doubt it. I think the best we can hope for is 60 digital and 70 physical, which would be great, as it is still lower than Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 edition, but I also fear that if it is that more ambitious remake that has been rumored, then it's more likely to be 70 digital and 80 physical. And as we are all Zelda fans, we of course want to get the game physical, so it's gonna be quite expensive, especially if we also want a Switch 2 bundle with a higher price, since this game has been reported by Natahate, who got the Star Fox right, to be out in holiday, so after the price hike, and that means also that a potential bundle would also be with the new price. But far more could be on the way apart from just Ocarina Remake, as we are under 1 month now from Summer Game Fest that is starting on June 5th. And the big question is whether we can hope for a June Nintendo Direct a week or two after. Well, Natahate has got pretty much everything right apart from the reveal timing for Star Fox correctly. Golden Week got in the way, so a June Direct seems to be plausible. It is just that it will probably be pretty much around my birthday, so it could be around what is the typical E3 timing. It wouldn't surprise me that Nintendo, for example, goes exactly 1 week after Summer Game Fest's presentation, so June 12th on Friday. Another option is, of course, the week after, which would also make sense because it's a week before Star Fox. And if you want to promote Star Fox, you can also have it the week before or even the final day of June on the 30th to not impact the sales numbers of Star Fox, which is launching on Thursday the 25th of June. But that is also, of course, in the realm of speculation. The same goes with new 2D Zelda from Grezzo next year. That is to say, in 2027, so 3 years after Echoes of Wisdom came out. And this rumor is coming from Nash Weedle, and I will say straight out, unlike Natahate, who keeps taking wins and posts them also with Star Fox, Nash Weedle is someone we definitely need to be far more skeptical about. And the same goes for about a few other rumors that we'll get back to very, very soon. As interestingly, we're now also less than 1 year away from the live-action The Legend of Zelda movie. And funny enough, it is premiering on exactly the 81st anniversary of Sony, who just celebrated their 80th anniversary. But that is very fitting, as Sony Pictures is making The Legend of Zelda movie together with Nintendo or Nintendo Pictures. And speaking of, Nintendo is on a roll with the movies, as after the Mario Galaxy movie and its 800 million made at the box office, yes, it has been confirmed, and the live-action Zelda movie that is probably gonna bring in that or even more next year, there's also another Nintendo Pictures movie confirmed for 2028. So is this Donkey Kong, Star Fox, maybe something else? There have even been rumors about a Metroid movie. Speaking of Metroid, there are also new rumors regarding a new Metroid game, now that we're getting close to 5 years since Metroid Dread, and not any games from Mercury Steam ever since, and definitely not any on Nintendo Switch 2. And this is the 40th anniversary of Metroid, just like it is the 40th anniversary of Zelda. So the possibility is definitely there. Hopefully we get another June surprise, just like we got in the final E3 Direct in 2021. This year also marks 8 years since Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, so rumors about a new Smash Bros., at least now in development by Masahiro Sakurai, is quite possible, seeing that Kirby Air Riders has not been able to sell exactly the same numbers as, say, Pokemon Pokopia or even Tomodachi Life. Sakurai is most likely returning back to Smash. Question is, when could a new Smash Bros. Game be out? Much is pointing to next year as well. But with Pokemon already there, some are even speculating that it could be this year. Only time will tell. As for now, apart from Indiana Jones, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is the next third-party Switch 2 release, and it has got a free demo before the June 3rd release, which has really impressed, as the visuals are comparable to Xbox Series S quality mode, as Elanista de Bits has demonstrated. But it also begs the question, not only for the Nintendo Switch 2, but in general, will the reveal of the third and final part come soon? And can we hope for a Switch 2 release of this one the same day as other systems, like we have seen Capcom has been able to accomplish twice already in 2026? As Final Fantasy VII's 30th anniversary is next year in 2027, so could it be 2027 7-7 as it would be written in Japan? I wouldn't disclose it, as the 7th next year is on a Wednesday, so a good release day. And it goes without saying, Square has so far done a really good job with Final Fantasy on Switch 2 in 2026. We have Remake, Rebirth, and by August Final Fantasy XIV, even with mouse controls. 14 is definitely not for me, as I only play games that have a start and finish. But it is still awesome for the system to see a greater and greater variety of third-party games, something that was also highlighted by Nintendo during their fiscal briefing. But yes guys, that is all for the big Nintendo Switch news we have got in this first full week of May. But if you don't want to miss anything else, be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press the notification bell. Last but not least, a big thanks to you for watching and to all our patreon.com/CommonRealm patrons. Special shoutouts go to our heroes Cheryl, Garrett Hoy, Holly Wolf and Kintaro. You rock, and please enjoy these awesome videos.